Okay, great. We just get Stephanie patched over from the attendees.
I've tried that a couple of times. It won't move over.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, we can get the link sent over to her. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to our October, it's like 20th convening of Executive Committee at Manhattan Community Board 11. My name is Xavier Santiago, and I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:34 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by our district manager, Angel Miskane. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have a question or about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participant panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. 3, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are already having or to state in writing information like an email address or telephone number that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. 4, when a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you may speak. 5, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion at hand. 6, members of the public, sorry, that's it. And with that, we will now call the roll.
Committee members, when I call your name, please answer present. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Stephanie Arroyo. Adem Brija.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
David Giordano. John Green.
Here.
Marissa Mack.
Present.
Nilsa Rama. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Isaac Scott.
Present.
Jason Villanueva is excused. Michelle Wilcher Clement.
Present.
You have quorum.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear my name. I was still trying to get in completely, but I'm here. Stephanie.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, we have quorum. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes were distributed ahead of from our last meeting in September were distributed ahead of time. If there are any questions or concerns, please raise your hand. See, if there are no objections, they will be adopted. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last executive committee meeting are adopted. They will soon be on the CB11 website. Okay. All right. Are there any announcements? Okay. Are there any informational updates? I will give you a quick, and this will be included in my chair report for next week. Did attend Borough Board today. I did relay our motion to continue the emergency order for COVID that we passed last month. There was a lot of nodding heads approving for the quarterly basis suspension. They really like that idea because they're having the same issues with planning. BP Levine was there and did address the intake center, which is also on our agenda. We'll get into that in a little further detail. So that's the informational updates I have from that meeting. We also had one other thing, hold on, and I will be forwarding this to you and to everyone here. Give me just a second to pull up my email. They had a presentation on some of the ballot initiatives that are coming up. I will be forwarding that information that was sent over to us. And it was a very helpful presentation. If you go and look at that meeting online from this morning, they really did a great job in explaining the initiatives that are coming before us next month during the election. So that is it. Are there any other informational updates? Marissa Mack, I see your hand.
Yes, hi, thank you, Xavier, for acknowledging my hand. So I just wanted to report out on a couple of things. The first being Chipotle. And so primarily, actually during the summer months, we've been, and we being Echo Dev, have been really in communication with them on what's going on. As most of you remember, they were slated to present before we went to break for summer, and subsequently canceled at the last two meetings. But we have been in communication with them throughout the summer and then now into the fall season in regards to what they plan to do for the community besides just moving in. We did express the concern of the neighborhood in that they picked a location that was really unfortunate for the businesses that were surrounding them. Let them know that there were, individuals that didn't want them there at all. But there are also people that said, it's fine for you to be here, but you should not have picked the location that you picked, right? And maybe there was a better location for you to locate your business that wasn't as intrusive as the location that they picked. So there are a couple of items that we mentioned to them. They also came back to us with a few ideas. So just wanted to let you guys know that they are planning to work with two schools within the community through a program called Kids in Need. Kids in Need was actually featured. I saw a segment, I think on Tuesday or Monday on the news about a school that they also helped. I believe it was either in Queens or Brooklyn. But Kids in Need is an organization that works with schools that are in need of supplies and donations to the community. So they have two schools that they will be working with. One of them being PS 79, which is on 120th Street. The other one is Manhattan Center, for providing all types for the school. They are also working to see how they can connect with local farmers. So we've connected them with Harlem Harvest. I think for those of you who are familiar with Maritza Owens, she is very much connected with that. And that is locally within the community. So waiting to hear back on that initiative per se. They are also looking at donating food, and so hoping to connect them with the pantry that's here on 118th and First Avenue to see how they might be able to connect. And then they have a few other like donation or click to donate or carryover donations that can happen through their website directly. But I did want to, report back that, look, they're not doing, everything, right? Like they're not, funding everything within our community or sending kids to school, what have you, but we do need to recognize that they're starting somewhere, right? And we need to see how we can continue to work with them for things that the community needs. I know that there are individuals that are saying, look, we need to get more out of them. We need to see, what else they can do. And yes, we do need to continue the conversation. But I think also from a standpoint of where we are, we need to also see how we work together, how we build a relationship, and how we start here and then, figure out like how we can grow a bit more. So I did want to report back to the committee on that initiative. They're coming. I think they're slated to open by the end of November. I'm not sure if that date has changed, but they are coming. Not sure where their liquor license stands. So maybe that's something that someone else on this call might be able to report on, but they are coming. And so I think for us, it's good for us to have an open dialogue and have a conversation about how we can partner and how we can work together and what they can do to not just come here, but then also support the community as well. So that's a lot. I have one more update, but I just want to pause to see if anyone has any questions or comments regarding that.
Not seeing any hands raised. Go on with your next update, please.
And the next update is in regards to the MTA. So they held a job fair. I was unable to attend, not sure if anyone on this call was able to attend the job fair, I believe yesterday. And they have also been in contact with us. They have identified a contractor for their project. And so I think they're just waiting for a time to be secured between, I don't know, Xavier and Angel. They responded to you, Xavier, today. So I think they're just waiting, but it's great that we have an open line of communication with them and we can start to have some more dialogue about both of their initiatives within the community, the viaduct, and then also Second Avenue subway. Those are my two updates.
Great.
Is there anyone that has any questions?
Not seeing any hands raised. Thank you, Marissa. Yeah, it was good to see that we're starting to get some traction with Chipotle, and I'm very glad they're at least engaging, and we'll keep cultivating that relationship and encouraging an engagement further with the corridor. Yeah, with the MTA, we've already responded, and it looks like we're going to be lined up for next Monday, and with that design team that's been retained for the electrical work. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, and we'll keep pushing the ball down the field. All right, Angel, next slide, please. Okay, committee discussion regarding humanitarian emergency relief and recovery center on Randall's Island. I've spoken with a handful of people in our committee. It was requested from our deputy speaker that an invitation should include the district manager and a chair leadership, whether it was the chair, vice chair, or a relevant committee chair. They declined to extend that invitation, saying it was for electeds only. Little dismayed about that, and because we wanted to get ahead of any information that was being leaked and really know what's happening boots on the ground, considering that at this point in time there are no additional resources slated, and it will be pulling some resources from our community. Borough President Mark Levine did attend the walkthrough. He did raise some of the concerns that I've heard from some of our committee members and members of the public. What they intimated was that they believe the wave of migrants that are coming into the community being bussed up from Texas will abate once the election's over. And that is what their hypothesis is at this point. We yet to be seen. So a lot of the other concerns that we would have had can't really be addressed unless we see the space. And I'd like to hear this committee's thoughts on the matter, but I think it would behoove us to have a site visit with as many people from this committee to attend. So I'd like to open it up for discussion. So please, I'd like to hear your thoughts and commentary on this, but just please raise your hands and I will recognize you. Marissa?
Yes, I'm sorry. Did I miss, when would it be?
We haven't. We're making a formal request for a walkthrough, a site visit. Okay, any committee members? Stephanie?
Sorry, so are asylum seekers already there? I may have missed it. Do we know how many are there? Do we know how many more are gonna come?
So at this time, hold on, I'll pull up, give me just a moment. I'll try to pull up the stats again. I had the window closed. I know that it's about 350 yards away from the shelter that's there. Let's see, hold on. I mean, it's literally like a massive tent set up, a complex. It looks like some kind of hardened roof structure with cot beds and lines. I know they have a sitting area. They said it's temperature controlled. They have proper showers and restrooms. I think it's yeah, so it's supposed to house about, I don't know, I think 200. I think I'm trying to get all the data points up, but yeah, that's why we'd like to go see it, to see what's really happening. I mean, you have pictures that are getting released in the news, but I think it's better for us to go have a site visit of it.
So we don't know if they're just if it's like a temporary stay and they're transitioning them?
It's supposed to be temporary for 72 hours to buy them enough time to then put them into the shelter system and not be out of compliance with the right to shelter law. And thank you. I saw that note, Michelle, at 500. Yeah, so that's what it's supposed to be within that 72-hour window.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michelle. You're muted, Michelle.
A little time to get my face off of there to get unmuted. They're two very large tents, but it doesn't seem large enough for 500 people, even though that's what it purported, saying that that's how many single men will be in there at first. And it is a tent. I was there before they had put the walls and whatnot, and this was during Indigenous Peoples Day that they were putting a lot of the finishing touches on it. So they started off with just the metal construction and the whole layout and then continued up, but it's actually a tent tarp on the top. So that feeling of impermanence is really there. And I'm just thinking of how those people will feel of that impermanence. And to have 500 individuals come to Randall's Island where no other preparation has been made, it just seems like it's just going to be a huge influx with even just transportation, not only just food and different resources that are needed, but just how the mobility will happen. I am concerned. I think I muted myself.
Okay,
But
yeah, I'm not sure where Xavier went, but thank you, Michelle. We'll go on to.
Yeah, so I'm
Stephanie.
here. Can you not
Sorry
hear me?
about that.
Can you not hear me?
We couldn't hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
I hear you.
Yeah, Deputy Speaker Ayala and I spoke at length this morning, and she said that they're supposed to be increasing bus service. One of the things Borough President Levine mentioned was that they're advocating for maybe a ferry service to come in as well. During my report, I used that as an opportunity to talk about the 107th Street Pier and how there's definitely a need going forward. But this seems like there are more questions than answers right now. And again, I think it's one thing that was expressed that most of the people going there, they just want to get to work. They just want to work in the opportunity right now. So, but what was stated was that it's supposed to be 72 hours and not more. But I think the concern is oftentimes what is temporary becomes permanent down the line. And it doesn't seem like there's necessarily an exit strategy, but I'm trying to find the commissioner who's handling this real quick. Any other questions? Stephanie, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so I'm assuming, right, we don't know when they're going to get rid of this after the fact, right? Because we don't know if people are going to continue to come here and whatnot.
Mhm.
But is there anything, or is there any way we can get something in writing where administration is letting us know that no, this is not going to be a permanent site?
We can make that formal request, yes. Like, is this going to be? We can make that inquiry. And I think from what I'm finding here, the Emergency Management Commissioner, Zach Eiskell, it was quoted raving about the setup and everything. Angel, would we be able to send a letter or an email to his staff to find out, one, to get a walkthrough, and two, to make an inquiry of what the long-term plan on this is?
Sure, if that's what you wish, of course.
Okay. Stephanie, your hand's still up.
Nothing, sorry, thank you.
That's great. But I think I think I'm hearing kind of similar notes. Is like, what is this going to become long-term? Is this just a temporary to help integrate people and to be compassionate and just to stop, as well as being compliant to the law? So I think, I think, if this committee is pleased, how many of you would like to join if we can get a tour arranged? How many? You can raise your hands on this one. Okay. So a sizable amount. So I think it'd be important to do that. Okay, great. So Angel, would you be so kind as well to reach out to Commissioner Eiskell and as well as the mayor's office so we can have a site visit. John, did you have a follow-up question?
No, I actually meant to put my hand down. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if there are no more comments on that, I do think I think before we take a position on it, I think we've got enough questions now that we need clarified. So we will, once Angel's able to reach out to that commissioner in the mayor's office, I think we will let you know what times and dates they give us for a walkthrough. And then after that, we can report back to the full body and take a position. Since it affects many of our committees. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to move us on then. Fiscal year 2024 statement of district needs and budget requests. Now on to the fun bits of discussing the input from the committees on budget requests, review and vote on the final budget request and priorities. So Angel, would you please bring this up on the screen and let's take a walk.
Give me a second.
Yep.
There you go.
You're on mute, Xavier.
Thank you. Sorry. Angel, do you want to kick us off here with your recommendations?
So this list is was compiled from the recommendations from each of the committees. The committees went through in the months of September and October, reviewing their respective budget requests, making selections on requests to keep, requests to revise, requests to remove, and new requests. This list reflects all of that except for the ones to remove. The priority order is listed here. Each committee made a recommended ranking, like a range ranking, high, medium, and low priority. So I did is I used last year's priority number that you can see all the way on the left. The last 3 digits indicate the priority number from last year's submission. So for example, on line 3, that tracking code was the #1 priority under capital, C being capital, E being expense. And what you see listed here is first the capital requests, 1 through I think 20 something, and then followed by the expense requests. That's the way they have to be submitted to the city. So I listed them first with the ranking from last year, and then second with whether, how the respective committees, the recommended ranking that each respective committee gave them. So whether they were highs or lows. I didn't make any edits. So this all just reflects the committee's input.
Okay, thank you, Angel. And as you can see here, this is maintaining the order we've had in the past years, which again, a massive call for housing, affordable housing. Next, our sanitation garage. Again, dealing with our housing request. And next, our number 5 is a youth and education request. And then again, environment, open space and parks with Tom Jeffs Park. And we scroll down. I'm not going to read these in because we can see them on the record here. They've been discussed, but I would like to hear if, as we go through them, if there are any questions or concerns once we get through all the capital, or if you want to discuss, you can raise your hand. I mean, most of you have been attending your committee meetings. So again, we have number 7, dealing with extreme flood risk to East Harlem, and looking at the vision plan, resilient East Harlem study. Again, the OSP is a high priority. We are chasing that down, as Jessica and I have been on multiple calls with trying to get that study released as well. Back to, again, youth and education, funding to upgrade the bathrooms. This is actually a place I'd gone through a site visit. Again, so you can see right here the order. If you scroll down, Angel, please. Okay. Again, 9 is a parks request from the Harlan Greenway link, Marcus Garvey. Then we go back to our housing at number 11. Angel, would you remind me again why it's highlighted blue, please?
To indicate that 1 through 10 are high priority
Yeah.
per
Okay, yeah, thank you.
the form, and then 11 forward to indicate the different sections.
Yep. No, that's great. Thank you. Sorry, I've got a bit of a headache
So
right now.
That's fine. There's a lot to remember.
Thanks. Okay, so as we can see, 11 and 12 funding, we're dealing with the TIL program, and then funding with youth and education for PS 146. A lot of these, and this is why it's important to, we scroll down to 12. Good. Part of this challenge is that this is, for us, we have to see it kind of like a boots on the ground. This is why I went to a lot of the school walkthroughs, and Dr. Christy De La Cruz and David will tell you, they have open doors there. So you can actually see, because a lot of these renovations that happen, they'll do in part, or they won't complete everything. And so they're left hanging, having to apply for grants and what have you. So again, really quickly, we have reconstruct or upgrade the park amenity, which is over here.
Xavier, I'm sorry, because I'm driving, but I just want to reiterate that is so true, because this summer it was inconvenient, but they fixed the major bathrooms, but they didn't fix them all, and he still needs funding for the rest of the bathrooms. So
Yeah.
that's why we continue these things. But it's in part, yes. We got to get the other part. Thanks. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Thank you, David. And again, it's important for all of us to be that boots on the ground, and seeing it firsthand to see what they did renovate looks smashing, and then the other part that is in disrepair. So again, and we get funding in part. It only does part way through. But if they're doing, say, a gym, and they don't do the air conditioning, what's the point, right? So, and David can tell you more times than not, that's the case. So go through this again, funding for, allocated repair playground water features throughout the district. Next, Eco Dev and Transit Hub at 125th Street. Obviously, we want the same amenities that they have elsewhere in the city. Funding for La Marqueta. Next, we have our NYPD resources to improve the police community relations by renovating 23rd, 25th, and PSA 5 to make it a friendlier environment. And then we'll get on to, yes, Jessica, I see your hand raised.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. If you can scroll back up to the water features one. Okay, I guess there are a couple examples of this, but okay, so even though it's a there's a medium priority mixed in with the high priorities, I guess, but I don't think the water features need to be as high a priority.
Okay. Let me go back up here. Hold on a second. Right. So, I mean, that's something we can discuss once we get through it, if we want to shift the prioritization up or down.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So let me get these last requests. These are all youth and education, 18, 19, and 20. Renovate interior building component, replace school hallway doors at Lexington Academy. Funding needs to be allocated to repair the door frames, replace hallway fire safety doors that automatically open and close. These doors are essential for safety and protection of our children. It was considered a high priority by youth and education. And then the next two are low priority, which was renovate interior building component. Funding needs to be allocated to make repairs to the pool at DOE building M037. That's over 2351 First Avenue. And then next is a reconstruct or upgrade park or amenity, playground, outdoor athletic field. And this is for PS 108 Peter Minuet Playground. Funding needs to be allocated to make repairs and upgrade Peter Minuet Playground, which we've seen as, although it may be considered low priority, it's needed and is part of that commitment. So again, typically, as you know, new requests fall down toward the bottom. So going back to your comment, Jessica, you're advocating for the water. Hold on, was it number 11 or 12? Hold on.
I'm also struggling.
The number 14, funding should be allocated to repair playground water features. That one throughout the
Yes.
district.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a medium priority. It's number 14.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah, so
I
that
just
is-
see, yeah, I see like EcoDev's high priority 15 and our high priority also Peter Minuet Playground at 13. But I go, oh, it's because it's only the first 10. I see what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's quite all right. So the question is, do we want in what our priority ranking is, what do we want to change out of these? Because this is part of the exercise now. Do we want to shift? This is what our district manager has proposed. We can shift things around if we want. I think, I would say the first set of 10 are in my humble opinion, in pretty good position in the order they're at. So I think we're really dealing with the medium or like the next selection of 10. So.
Can I ask a quick question? Because just following up on the Peter Minuet Playground, I mean, I think it's really two committees that see this as, medium priority or whatever. Does that give any more boost to it? Like, it's been a big issue in parks, but, it's also become an issue within youth as well. So I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
So the committee. Oh, could you mute David? I don't know if it's feedback.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm driving. No, go ahead, Xavier, I can hear you.
Yeah, it was just echoing. So David, would you mind? Yeah, thank you. It was just the speakers were echoing back. So with the Peter Minuet, I believe Youth and Education put that as a low priority there. That's if you look up, I know you can't see it, but at the top you have committees recommended ranking and the prioritization of high, medium, and low, and they had it at low. So that's just to
I think that was because we in Environment, Open Space and Parks also
it's low.
had a request about that.
Okay. So again, we can Angel, we can shift these around as we see fit, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
So do we want to allocate the repair to the playground water features a little bit lower in the ranking? And maybe bump up the Peter Minuet Playground? I mean, that's an option because it seems like those are the two that are raising concern right now.
Peter Minuet's also at 13.
Yeah, so you have the first one, which is the repair and upgrade of PS 108, and then there's a second request, which is funding should be allocated to provide park upgrades and a comfort station. So that's the comfort station request, and then the others repairs and upgrade.
I don't know, I would think a comfort station. Yeah. Sorry.
There's the number 13 you referenced, Jessica. What was the other one? I'm not.
The last one, number 20.
Number 20. Okay, go ahead, David.
What was I gonna say? I would go with whatever Jessica feels is more of a priority as it overlaps in park on two things. So I'm fine with whatever you decide, Jess.
Yeah, honestly, I feel pretty comfortable with everything the way it is on this list.
You feel, say that again.
I feel comfortable with the placement on the list currently.
Does it have to be two requests? Aren't they kind of saying the same thing?
Yeah, they are the same thing. And I think the idea was that, youth and education would be bolstering Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee request, but if that's not the case, then maybe we should remove one and
Well, can we combine them? I think like Angel made a good suggestion. Is there really?
Yeah, I think the only difference is comfort station.
Right,
Seems to be the same.
I mean, we want to get this for the school. I think a comfort station might bump it. You know what I'm saying? Because as they talking about these couple $1 million for comfort stations, that might make nothing happen.
Could we instead keep it 2 and make one specific to the comfort station and one specific to the park upgrades?
great idea.
Yep.
I'm fine with that. Good suggestion.
Yep. Let's make that amendment then. So the existing one would be the comfort station at number 13, and then
Reverse, I think.
reverse. You want to reverse the comfort station as the new
Yeah, I
request?
think the comfort station should be the lower priority request and the repairs and upgrades should be higher.
All right, give me a second.
I agree. I think that might just get
Yep.
at least something done as opposed to nothing, you know?
All right, give them a moment to switch things around, and if there are any other comments from the committee members, we can entertain them, and otherwise we'll move along to our expense.
All right, I'll fix the G numbers afterwards.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Angel. So just to note for the record that we are shifting the request to repair and upgrade to PS 108 Peter Minuet Playground to the higher priority, and then bringing the comfort station request down to the lower prioritization 20. So is everyone clear on that?
If I could just mention one thing,
Yes.
David, before you start with the expense,
Mhm.
you'll notice that you'll all notice that the total number of capital requests and the total number of expense requests is a lot smaller than last year. And that's attributable to a lot of removes, most of those removes because things were funded. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing to note, and I'm glad to see we're getting some traction there. After how many years? Okay, am I good to move along?
Yep.
Okay, great. As you can see here in this first section of 1 through 6, again, we're getting to increase funding for subsidies to help eligible low-income families to rent decent, safe, and affordable housings in the district. That was a high priority. Allocate funding for more workforce development is something we've been requesting for years, coming from EcoDev and the Small Business Services. Next is provide funding for an expansion of the mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety to cover all NYCHA developments in East Harlem. That's going under PSNT. Next, we have DOHMH with the rate of adult psychiatric hospitalizations in East Harlem. It's nearly triple the citywide rate. We're asking for funding to improve programming in East Harlem. And as you remember, with Metropolitan, they have removed their beds, their psychiatric overnight beds. So those families that need them don't have access. I think that's a very important request from Human Services. Next, we have funding to be allocated for equitable amount of on-street trash cans to reduce the occurrence of overflowing corner bins and garbage on the street. As many of you know, that we've had massive issues with rats, and you've seen the drive down in the Upper East Side. We're looking for very much the same equity. Increased funding for specialized enforcement programs such as alternative enforcement program, to help deal with underlying conditions program, anti-harassment unit, et cetera, and so on. Coming from housing. Next, number 7 is provide more funding for tenant harassment units. 8, let me scroll my page. Another housing request for NYCHA, provide funding for additional service vans, equipment, staffing, language assistance to assist diversified NYCHA residents, and annual recertification online and paper. Again, that's something that many of the residents in our community suffer and have difficulty with. Next, with this housing request is provide funding to increase awareness regarding housing vouchers and other HPD programs such as Green Screen. And then number 10 were more peer support, outreach workers, and social workers for Community District 11 for those suffering from drug addiction and to work the corridors towards 103rd, 110th, 116th, and 125th. Those are our first set of 10. Does anyone have any concerns or questions with the ordering there? You can just raise your hand, please. If not, I will move us along. Again, these are existing requests we've had in the past. And we'll go into our next section, which are 11 through 20. Again, something our community has been struggling with for years, which is HIV/AIDS, and again, asking for funding for education and preventative drugs. It's crucial to us surviving this blight. Next is, and that's from Human Services. Next is to explore alternative interventions for homelessness and substance abuse in the parks, including Marcus Garvey and Randall's Island. That's also from Human Services. Let's put number 12. In order to help mitigate the impacts of climate change, USALM needs more trees to absorb carbon, release oxygen. To address equity and health concerns, funding should be allocated to plant new street trees across East Harlem for environment, open space, and parks. A little aside, I think we have a good advocate in our BP who actually referenced this in his report about the disparity of trees that we have in our neighborhood versus other neighborhoods, and the exposure and heat index is much higher than in others who have a higher tree concentration. So ongoing conversations that whenever Mark and I are together at events here in the community, we're able to cover these items. And I'm glad to hear he's echoing it for us. Next, provide funding to study the feasibility of establishing a residential parking program in East Harlem from Public Safety and Transportation. Next is utilize existing resources for NYPD to prioritize youth crime prevention programs as a strategy to mitigate crime in East Harlem. Public Safety and Transportation. Additional funding for allocated employ additional social workers to not only provide therapeutic service, but also provide evidence-based groups and case management services. And that was number 16. Let me scroll down here on my page. Sorry, we have someone here. Hold on. Next, I'll get through these to number 20, and then I'm going to pass the baton to you, Jessica, if you don't mind. Next is other affordable housing program requests for seniors, returning veterans, and their families. Again, housing is a theme, as we've seen year after year after year, that we need more of. Next is a senior center program request. Additional funding is needed for senior center staffing, including social services provided for our Asian seniors in the community. Obviously, as you know, we have a burgeoning Asian population, and they need help, and they're often reticent to ask. And I think it's an important request from going to DFTA. Next is to help revitalize 125th Street commercial corridors, fund a nonprofit Iron Than Neighborhood Benches with credible messengers on crime reduction specialists to work with individuals loitering on the nearby streets. That came from EcoDev. I think it's definitely a high priority request. And then next, which is one of our new ones, number 20, is a community theater thrives in this country like no other place in the world. I love this request. It's great. For DCLA to allocate funding and to activate the underutilized theaters in East Harlem by allowing them to operate profitably. Circulating shows. It's a bit wordy, but the request is helpful, I think, in getting appropriations for a lot of our arts here, because the arts are way out for many of our community members. And that was from EcoDev number 20. And if you'll please excuse me, Jessica, I'm going to pass the baton to you if there are no questions on the ordering of this.
All right. Well, I don't see any hands, but feel free to raise your hands at any time. Otherwise, we'll keep going on down the line to number 21 from Human Services. Other programs to address public health issues request. The need to include additional public advocacy personnel and contractors who provide more culturally engaging and innovative ways to better inform people receiving drug treatment services, open drug use, family exposure to drug use, and its long-term impact. Which is a new request. Number 22 is also a new request from Human Services. Provide funding for additional personnel or contractors to take proactive measures to mitigate hazardous waste, such as discarded hypodermic needles surrounding treatment facilities by routinely and thoroughly assessing treatment facilities outside perimeters. Next, number 23 from Environment, Open Space, and Parks. Increase vacant lot cleaning. East Harlem has multiple vacant lots pending development that have become illegal dumping sites. Funding should be allocated to increase vacant lot cleaning. The next one is number 24 from EcoDev. other business regulatory assistance requests. In advance of the commercial organics requirement, the city must provide additional support to local businesses to ensure they're in compliance with the law. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting all, okay, thank you, Angel. Next, number 25 from Environment, Open Spaces and Parks. I believe the last one before we get past our limit here, or low priority, increase enforcement of canine waste laws. We received numerous complaints regarding canine waste on our streets. It's persistent. Funding should be allocated for DSNY to provide dispensers at designated locations and to provide additional waste bags in those dispensers. Great. So number 26, any questions about the ones so far? Or should I keep moving to number 26? All right. Number 26 is a medium, well, it's from Youth and Education. Increase the amount of after-school program seats for high school age youth in East Harlem with a focus on social emotional learning. Special attention for freshmen and sophomores into their new school experience. Number 27 is also from Youth and Education. Special attention must be paid to high school students at the risk of dropping out. However, at-risk youth are generally hardest to reach. More resources to expand outreach and connect programs to youth. Number 28 from Human Services, increase case management capacity, provide funding for more caseworkers, increase the number of culturally competent caseworkers in CB11, specifically Spanish, French, and Creole. Next is number 29 from EcoDev, extend library hours, expand library programs, etc. The social impact by COVID-19 in our community requires expansion of availability of library operating hours to 7 days a week, as well as supportive community resources. 30 from Human Services, promote vaccinations and immunizations. Funding is needed to help lead vaccine-related outreach, engagement, and access for all those. Since neighborhoods of color, including East Harlem, have disproportionately lower vaccination rates, additional funding could help raise awareness and improve access. 31 from Youth and Education. Increased funding should be allocated to employ additional youth in the Work, Learn, and Grow program to provide more opportunities for employment and to expand career and college readiness for high schoolers. 32 from Human Services, Animal and Pest Control requests provide funding for proactive measures to mitigate rodent population in public housing, empty lots, construction areas, and train stations where rats establish colonies. Next is 33 from EcoDev. Expand programs in emergency and legacy industries. EDC should implement incentives to attract growing industries to East Harlem, especially businesses that are STEM related, thereby providing additional career opportunities for local residents. 34 from Human Services, allocate funds for outreach services to homebound older adults and programs that allow elderly to age in place. Provide funding, for faster service for seniors transitioning from hospital/rehab to home. Next, we have number 35 from Public Safety and Transportation. Provide resources to train officers, e.g. in community policing. NYPD should allocate existing resources toward improving police community relations, increase accountability, communication, and transparency by NYPD can help foster trust among East Harlem residents. 36 from Human Services, other programs to address public health issues requests. Newer, less lethal drugs are now available as an alternative to methadone, but lack of funding is usually cited as why the drug is slow to be adopted. An independent nonprofit should assess whether there is a subset of more than 7,000 methadone patients who would benefit from transitioning to newer, less lethal drugs and to help with the transition. This would allow patients to reduce frequency and distance traveled to obtain drug treatment in Harlem. Next, number 37, our last request is Human Services. A portion of the 1,200 residents of homeless shelters on Ward's Island suffer from chemical misuse. Recommend providing mobile drug treatment support to Ward's Island shelters, requesting mobile treatment units be deployed to Ward's Island to increase access to treatment.
Jessica, if I could, I just realized a mistake in the sorting. These 23, 24, 25 are all lows. They should be at the bottom of the list. That was a mistake. I can move them now.
Okay.
I apologize for the confusion.
No problem. So that'll move 26, 27, and 28 into the
Yeah.
highs. Okay.
Mhm. I'll fix the numbers. Oops.
All right. Well, that might take just a moment. So while we're
Yeah.
waiting,
Talk amongst yourselves.
yeah, I think that change was pretty clear. And if there are any questions or comments about the ordering of things, please raise your hand. And we know that Angel does a great job at this because he knows the best. So. See how fast that was.
Nearly painless.
Type numbers, that's about it.
Thank
Okay.
you, everyone. You got through everything?
Yep.
Jess?
And so
Thank
far,
you.
no questions.
Okay, great. Thank you for, sorry, we had someone here at the house that needed to be, or apartment that needed to be addressed. Thank you very much. I don't see any hands raised for questions, so we are content with this, this new order, our prioritization. And, hold on a second. Stanley, did you have a question? You can unmute yourself real quick.
I think that's the person's related to the application we're going to review next.
Okay. All right. Well, if we're done with this, we can go back to the slides and we'll go on to our next agenda item, please.
You all need to vote on the top.
Oh, sorry.
three.
Thank you. Yes.
Let me finish fixing this and
Yep.
then I'll move over to that because I'll show you the slide that has the 3 per the surveys and you all can decide if you want to follow that or have a different opinion.
Thank you, Angel.
Yeah, sorry guys, just tolerate me another second while I type. Okay, so you all are agreed on this, and I will close that. Zoom will allow me. Are you seeing the top pressing needs now displaying?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so this is this represents the results of the public input survey that we did over the summer. Last year, our top 3 were the same, just in a different order. Zoom is not cooperating. Just a second, I'll tell you what the correct, well, what last year's order was. I was writing it up a second ago. Last year it was affordable housing, homelessness, and crime and safety was 3rd.
Okay. Does this committee have any questions regarding the ranking here? Or would we like to adopt the responses? So Jessica, you had your hand raised?
I changed my mind. Thank you.
Please raise your hand, committee members, if you have any reaction or thoughts on this order, or whether or not we'd like to adopt this community info. Okay, I don't see any hands. Is there a motion to approve the ranking here? Michelle?
Motion to approve the ranking as it is set
Okay.
on the
Stephanie, you were up next.
Second.
Second. Okay, great. Please call the roll.
So just to be clear, that you're adopting the ranking per as laid out in the survey results, not last year's. Okay. Jose? Jose? Okay. Stephanie?
Yes.
Tim? Jessica,
Yes.
why am I echoing?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. It's like.
Jose says yes.
David.
Yes,
John.
Aye.
Marissa,
Yes.
Nelsa,
Yes.
Xavier,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. So crime, local housing, homelessness.
At the top of the list.
Okay. Good. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Angel. Next, we have new business, which is Sono Uchi Sushi, a new application for a full liquor license for a restaurant located at 1885 Lexington Avenue at 117th Street. So the applicants are before us because they went to Adem. Is Adem on? No, he's not. They went to
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that
Oh, you're dialed in. Okay, wonderful. Would you care to speak on this, please?
Can you hear me?
Well, they did not have their documents, so we denied them at our committee meeting. They weren't there either. And then as far as I know now, they submitted all their documents, but it's come to my attention that I believe some people have an issue with the location, some residents. As to why they have an issue, I'm not sure, but I believe they're going to want to be heard tonight. So that's all I know.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So we have one hand raised. Now we have two. And I know Stanley Wolfson, you are recognized. You'd like to speak on this application?
Yes, I would. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. There's a bit of an echo.
I represent the applicant, and if the participants would like to ask me questions, I'd be happy to answer them and give them whatever information I have. But the kind of liquor license that's being requested is one of these cocktails to go type of licenses that were originated during the COVID period.
somebody's got two speakers on one mic.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That
whoever,
somebody's got to turn off their computer or mute it,
yeah,
creating a loop.
Yeah, so Stanley, it looks like you have two logins. So I would recommend, since if you're on the call and you're unmuted, mute your computer or whatnot, you can still hear us. So to reiterate, you're representing the client, Sono Uchi Sushi, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we'll stand by. We'll see what questions there are. I have the next hand raised is Stephen Vaccaro. You may unmute yourself and you're recognized.
Yes, hi, how are you? My name is Steve Vaccaro. I am the attorney for the Lancaster Lexington Cooperative. We're located at 1885 Lexington Avenue. We are the approximate 30 residential co-op units right above the Sono Uchi Sushi restaurant. Unfortunately, we have a long history with Mr. Wolfson, in that Mr. Wolfson owns the ground level condominium. Okay, this is referred to in the industry as a condop. So the co-op is above and the condo, the commercial space, is on the ground level. Mr. Wolfson owns the condominium portion. In that condominium portion, he has 3 to 4, I believe it's 4 commercial spaces. One of them is this Sono Uchi Sushi location. Unfortunately, there's another location, it's a commercial space, that is used to process hemp. Okay, he's been processing the hemp as a hemp operation since late December 2019. Okay, we've had written several letters to him. We've asked him to abate the nuisance because hemp is obviously has a pungent smell, causes noxious fumes. It's affecting the unit owners above to have any quality of life. Okay, so really what the core of our opposition is, and to the extent that's already clear, I'm here to represent the residents of the cooperative and the board, okay? What we're really concerned about here and why we're opposing is because he has shown in either an inability or an unwillingness to abate a nuisance, okay? If he is issued a liquor license and there are nuisances that arise or emanate from the use of alcohol or the sale of alcohol, whether it's increased noise, whether there's altercations, whether it's increased business hours that affect the ability of the folks who live right above to have a decent quality of life, then we have no confidence in him whatsoever that he will seek or move to abate that nuisance. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yes, I'll allow you to respond. And please address it to the committee.
To the committee. Mr. Vaccaro, you're an attorney, yes?
Yes, I am. If this is going to be cross-examination, I'm not sure that's what the committee would like, but yes, I am.
Just asking.
I would just like you to speak to the claims and concerns, please. And then I will.
First of
return
all,
back to the
there's no
application.
processing of hemp on the premise. That's absolute. There was a time when hemp was kept there, stored. That is no longer the case. And it has nothing to do with the Sonouchi sushi. In the space that he claims the hemp is being processed, there is now coming in a bakery. And there's signs to that effect. So I find his representation is both inaccurate and defamatory. And this is not a bar, this is cocktails to go. There's nothing going on there that's illegal. And many of his tenants, his alleged clients, patronize Sonouchi Sushi very actively.
Okay. All right. Let's Dem, I'm just trying to pull up the application. Do you have your computer? Thank you for your response. Angel, we have this here. It looks like the operations are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. How many seats are in this establishment?
It's no seats at all. It's grab
So
and
it's
go.
only to go. Mhm. Adem? Adem, are you there? All right, we'll go on. Jose, you have a question.
Is that the only concern that we're hearing against this particular application? I'm curious if there were more or if that was the.
I believe actually there are some other residents who are on this call and would like to be heard if possible.
Okay, all right. Jose, thank you.
I'm here.
Yeah, so you have the application in front of you real quick before I turn to other hands that are raised. Refresh my memory. Have we approved any establishments that are to go only in the
Off
neighborhood?
the top of my head, not that I can think of.
Okay, I just wanted to find out where we're, just to clarify that. Fine, I'm gonna go over to the attendees. I see Mark Webster. You have your hand raised. You're recognized. Please keep your comments succinct, germane, and directed to the committee.
Sure, thanks for having me. So my name is Mark Webster. I'm a resident of 1885 Lexington. A liquor license is a privilege that we grant to people who we believe are going to be good, responsible members of the community and act responsibly. I think throughout the 10 years that I've lived there, Mr. Wilson hasn't shown himself to be a responsible member of the building. As previously pointed out, there was an issue with hemp smells and pungent odors that were in the building. Many of us have families in the building that he was slow to respond to or frankly didn't respond to. He also, I believe, is in massive arrears with the co-op. Many of us residents have an additional maintenance payment we need to make every month because he has not held up his end of the bargain. And to Stephen's point, there's a lack of faith that if there were issues that he would respond to them. And I think that's the reason that we have a liquor license review process is to float out these kind of issues in advance. And so I and many other residents who I believe are on this call are not supportive of a liquor license.
Yeah, thank you for your commentary. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this application? Please raise your hand via Zoom. Stephen, I still see your hand raised, or is that an old hand?
That's an old hand. I apologize.
That's all right. Okay. Let's see right here. Angel, would you
There's two more, Sam.
Mark, do you still have a follow-up? I see.
No, there's two more. Begin.
Thank you. Timothy Sack, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. My name is Timothy Sack. I'm also a resident at 1885 Lexington. And actually, I occupy the unit that is directly above what is the Sonouchi Sushi unit. And so I just want to comment on the fact that as far as the hemp odors that we're talking about that emanated since December of 2019, I have it written down that there have been odors in our unit. I'm talking about throughout my apartment, my 4-year-old daughter's bedroom, our bathroom, our closets that have permeated through not just, it's not just that whatever that unit was that was storing the hemp supposedly was, but again, I'm the unit directly above what is the sushi place. And I, as of until September 30th, still smelled those odors. So if it is no longer the case that this hemp is being processed or stored, that is only a very recent change. And there's been, we've been asking for something to be done about that since it started in December of 2019. As far as people patronizing Sonouchi Sushi, I can probably guarantee that no one in our building has ever been there. In fact, I work at home and I'm around all the time, and I haven't actually seen a single customer in that building. So to say that we patronize it frequently, I think is a falsehood. So I'm just speaking for many residents who also agree that Mr. Wilson has been have negatively impacted us as residents in the building, and are not supportive of him having a liquor license here, and don't believe that he will keep up any sort of proactive measures should anything come up as far as concerns in the neighborhood relating to the liquor license.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to real quick do any. I'm just getting up. He's posted right here. Where is Erwin Chacon? He's on the application, and why is he not here?
He is the general manager. I'm here in this place.
Okay, it would have been helpful to have him here. How long has this establishment been open?
The Sonouchi Sushi has been open, I think, for 2 weeks now.
Okay. And are you just a landlord, or are you a stakeholder in it?
I'm a landlord.
In this way only, but not. So who's the primary investor of it?
Of which?
Sonouchi, like, so if you're just a landlord, they're just renting the space from you, then where is the responsible party?
The responsible party is a woman by the name of Kelly Yo, Y-O-O.
Mhm.
And that's who the responsible party is.
Okay, and I'm curious if you're here in her stead, then I'm curious why she was unable to make it.
She's out of the country for one thing.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Board members.
I have one other response I'd like to give, if I may.
Okay.
And this is in response to Mr. Webster and Mr. Seek. First of all, the allegation that we're behind in payment to the co-op or the condo is both accurate and inaccurate. There's a lawsuit that was brought by me against the building, the various behavior on part of the tenants and sabotage in terms of the unit, like cutting wires and so forth. Number two, Mr. Seek, I'm glad he works from home and right above, and I'm sorry he's having these problems. But they should also look to their management company, which is my main complaint, and which was what triggered the lawsuit that I brought against them, not against me. And basically, in my belief, Mr. Vaccaro has been brought on by the recommendation of the management company, a company called Kairos Realty, who I might tell you has been fired from another building of mine over at 381 Lenox Avenue. That's also a condo. And after several years, the tenants there got rid of them for the very reasons I had complained about. And as far as the increase in, what do you call it? In the condo charges, that I too object to that because it's basically a management problem. This management company is not efficient, and all they do is pass the money on to the tenants. I'm one of those tenants.
Thank you for your response to that. And moving the meeting along, I think it's important, part of this process, and this is none of our first rodeos, if you will, with the applicant process. We have things very much, and I use this phrase generously, drawn out in crayon for our process. We ask for it's very Boolean. You got to provide all the documents, and the applicant has to be here to answer questions and concerns. And I appreciate your expression, Mr. Wolfson, and to the representatives on the other side. But I think the challenge here is that Mrs. Yo and Erwin Chacon are not present to answer our questions. And as I understand your position as a landlord, but the parties managing and operating
I'm not here as a landlord. I'm here as an attorney representing Sonouchi Sushi.
But there is also
But that's a conflict of interest, as you have two votes. I'm sorry, Xavier.
Yeah, no, I was getting to that. No, you're fine. But sir, and be it as it may, on this paperwork, and I'm just going to pull it up here, it is filled out by Erwin. We have no paperwork designating you as their attorney, nor was that presented to us. Either way, there's still a conflict of interest here. There's still a conflict of interest here because
there is a conflict of interest here, and there's a conflict of what was been said. Most of it is false. I've been harassed by these folks calling the cops on me, and the cops do nothing.
Yeah, so Mr. Wilson, with all due respect, it's not germane to our conversation with this establishment. I just want to be very clear that as we take and weigh in on each and every application, we have certain criteria. Now, it's not been disclosed to us, and I'm looking right here, that you were going to be sent as the representative. And I appreciate you being, well, now here's this one piece of document, but there's still the conflict of interest as you're also the landlord. And so we need the representatives who are actually doing the day-to-day operation, and in almost every single instance, whether it has been a major chain or a small mom and pop, the people who are doing the day-to-day do show up.
Do you
And
have
I
a representation pointing Mr. Vaccaro as the attorney? You have paperwork on that?
we're taking up your application and we've been listening to the residents just like every other
Well,
application that's come before
you made a
us.
statement to me before. You have no paperwork representing that I.
No, I found your paperwork here saying that I found it right here. It was in a separate email that you're representing, but there's still a problem here of a conflict of interest. And we do not have the manager nor the owner here to answer questions.
Look,
So that's what we needed. They did not show up to licenses and permits.
nor
That
were they
was
asked to.
one. Huh?
Nor were they asked to.
That's part of the application process.
Maybe
We've
part
been
of your
dealing with this-
process. However, do what
I'm
you
look-
want to do. We're going to be making our application to the SLA.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you very much. We've asked for you to follow our protocol, which is established on our website. I appreciate your concerns that were raised. I'm going to go to Jose and then I will go to Isaac, our committee members. Thank you.
Good,
Okay.
thank you. Good evening.
It's I've heard so far tonight. I really think that this should be sent back to committee so they can properly, iron out the situation. I also agree that it sounds like a conflict of interest, but I do get excited that there's a sushi spot near me, so I will be passing by. But no, I do believe that they should go back to committee, and hopefully the manager, owner, whoever else can also be there to answer any questions. I don't think a restaurant should be at fault for some things or situations that are happening between the landlord and tenants above. But seeing as the actual restaurant is not here, I do believe it should go back to committee. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I hear your recommendation. Isaac, your hand is up. You're recognized.
Yes, thank you. Jose said exactly what I was going to say verbatim, probably. I really think this should go back to committee so it can be addressed properly.
Okay, thank you.
But actually, my hand was actually raised to ask, could I make a motion to?
So
that was what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay, I follow you. So let's find out, Angel, where are we on the 30-day cycle with our calendar for the next meeting? Because this came before us at licenses and permits, and it comes as a fail-safe to our committee when either they're missing one doc or someone missed the date for whatever reason. Would we be able to come in on this in time to weigh in?
Yes, you can weigh in now. If it were to be sent back to committee, you have to request that the applicant withdraw their 30-day notice.
Okay. So if we are going to send back to committee, are you going to, this question is directly to you, Mr. Wolfson, as the representative, are you willing to withdraw your 30-day notice so as to give Mrs. Yu and Erwin Shakan an opportunity to come before licenses and permits?
My recommendation to my client will be not to.
Okay, all right.
I suggest that if the committee feels this is egregious, they should deny the application on whatever basis they want to. The SLA will make their own choice.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for seeing. David, you had your hand raised?
Based on Mr. Wilson's recommendation, I make a motion to not approve. I mean, this was his recommendation, that the people do not come before the committee, then why are we even entertaining this?
That
We
wasn't the
already see it's a
question. The
conflict.
question
No,
was,
no. The question was, and you said you would recommend that they do not come
that's
before
my
the committee.
recommendation.
And I made a motion based on your recommendation to deny.
Right.
Well,
So
you want to deny it's one thing, it's another thing for the reasons you're giving.
well, Mr. Wolfson, with all due respect,
Exactly.
there were you had two bites of the apple on this one, and we asked you very kindly, would you please withdraw and reapply it so we can have the manager and the owner actually show up to engage in a fruitful discussion?
I
You
told
said
you what I
as
would
the
recommend to
represent-
them. What they'll do is their choice.
And you recommended that they not withdraw the application.
That is correct.
Ergo, as we have operated as a board, we have protocol in place for these recommendations, because what that implies to our committee and our board of 50 representatives is that this establishment, and ergo you're the representative and the landlord, are not willing to engage with the community. So that's what that implies by you.
Just the opposite. We've tried engaging with the community. We try to create jobs in the community.
So Mr. Wolfson, you're here before the community board asking us to sign off. You've said you're not willing to play ball. It's that simple.
No, you asked me what I'd recommend, and that's what I recommend.
Okay, thank you. You've made it very clear to this committee, and I now will entertain a second.
A second.
Okay, is second. Please call the roll. And please let it reflect before you call the roll that we did ask the representative if he'd be willing to remove the 30-day notice in order to give the manager and the owner the opportunity to come in to address the concerns of the residents in the building and around in the community, and that it was declined and he was not going to make that recommendation. So let the record please reflect and call the roll. Thank you.
Jose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes, to deny.
Adem, Jessica,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Marissa,
Yes, to deny.
Nilsa,
Yes.
Xavier,
Aye.
Isaac,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Very good. We'll move the agenda along. Any old business? Okay, see that there is none. One last roll call, and then we will adjourn the meeting at, it'll take about 1 minute, so 7:56.
We can't use that last vote.
You know what? We will. Yeah, we will.
Hold on,
Thank you.
hold on.
Yeah.
I wish you guys wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm like, you're almost there. You're almost back to being in person. And I've been advising for 2 years to be really precise about this stuff so you don't face any issues. You guys are always in such a rush. It only takes 30 seconds. I did want to say something before you all shut the meeting off. A reminder that this coming Tuesday's full board meeting is in person.
Mhm.
You have to be there in person at Dream Charter School, 1991 Second Avenue. It's not going to be a Zoom meeting. The executive order is lapsed. There's another executive order live right now, but it would not apply in our case because the executive order has to do with the migrant situation, and that would not impact our ability to conduct the meeting. I thought it was important to state that on the record and as a reminder, because folks tend to forget things. And with that, I will call the roll as instructed.
Yeah,
Jose,
thank you.
Stephanie,
Here.
Adem, Jessica,
Present.
David, Marissa.
Here.
I'm here.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Marissa too. Nilsa,
Here.
Xavier, Isaac,
Yes.
and Michelle.
Present.
Thank you.
Angel, did you get me?
I'm here too, but since you didn't say, I just want to let you know.
Thank you. I got you.
Good, Jose.
I got Jose.